Let us pray. Almighty God, who in your wisdom and goodness have appointed the office of leaders and county assemblies for the welfare of society and the just government of the people, we beseech you to behold with your abundant favor as the servants whom you have been pleased to call to the performance of important trusts in this republic. Let your blessings descend upon us here assembled, and grant that we treat and consider all matters that shall come under deliberation in so just and faithful a manner as to promote your honor and glory, and to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of our country and of those whose interests you have committed to our charge. Amen. Mr. Clark, please take us through the order paper for the day.
The Third Assembly, 5th Session, Order Paper number 410B, Supplementary Order Paper number 410B of today, Thursday, 30th April 2026 at 2:30 p.m. Order number 1, Administration of Oath.
Next order.
Order number 2, Communication from the Chair.
Next order.
Order number 3, Messages.
Next order.
Order number 4, Petitions.
Next order.
Order number 5, Papers.
Next order.
Order number 6, Notices of Motion.
Next order.
Order number 7, Statements.
Honorable members, it's statement time. Next order, Clerk.
Commencement of business. Order number 8, motion that pursuant to the provisions of orders number 26, suborder 1 of the standing orders, this House adopts the report of Lands Physical Planning, Housing and Urban Development Committee on consideration of the proposed Ahero Town Local Fiscal and Land Use Development Plan for the years 2026 to 2035 by the Honorable Ratty Boyton.
Yes, Honorable Ratty Boyton of Nyalenda A Ward.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, allow me to move a motion on consideration of the Committee of Lands Physical Planning, Housing and Urban Development of the proposed Ahero Town Local Physical and Land Use Development Plan that runs from the year 2026 to the year 2035. Again, Honorable Speaker, allow me as usual and as the customs and the tradition of this House to use the moving notes, because I believe the entire report was posted on our wall at the appropriate time for members to go through. And in that regard, allow me to use the moving notes. Honorable Speaker and honorable members, this report sets out the consideration by the Committee of Lands, Physical Planning, Housing and Urban Development of the proposed Aero Local Physical and Land Use Development Plan, which was committed to the committee by the House for scrutiny in accordance with Standing Order number 193 of Kisumu County Assembly Standing Orders. The committee, having considered the proposed Aero Town Local Physical and Land Use Development Plan, the supporting documentation, and the public participation report, and having made the observations set out in Part 5 of the report, recommends pursuant to the standing orders of the Kisumu County Assembly that the House adopts this report and approves the following recommendation for transmission to the County Executive for implementation. Let me take you through the approval plan. The County Assembly approves the Aero Town Local Physical and Land Use Plan as submitted by the County Executive Committee member for Lands, Physical Planning, Housing and Urban Development, and directs that the plan be gazetted and implemented in accordance with the Physical and Land Use Planning Act of 2019 and all other applicable laws. On implementation and funding, the county executive is directed, 1, to prioritize within the first 3 years of the planned period the implementation of the identified catalyst projects in the capital investment plan, including the expansion of Aero Bridge, upgrading of key roads to bitumen standard, establishment of a matatu terminus, and provision of a sewer system with adequate budgetary provision made in the next county annual development plan. Key important aspect in that funding. And 2, treat the Aero Town Local Physical and Land Use Development Plan's capital investment plan as an integral input to successive county integrated development plans and annual development plans, so as to ensure continuity and coherence of investment in the planning area over the full 10-year planning horizon. And lastly, actively pursue engagement with the national government agencies, constitutional commissions, development partners, and the private sectors to co-finance the implementation of infrastructure and development projects identified in the plan. On development control and enforcement, the county executive is directed to 2 items. 1, establish an effective development control and enforcement framework in Aero Town and Korowe Market Center immediately upon adoption of this plan to curb haphazard and unregulated development, including the removal of structures erected on road reserves in accordance with the development control regulation prescribed in the plan. And 2, ensure that all future development applications within the planning area are processed in strict conformity with the land use zone, plot coverage standards, minimum plot sizes, plot ratios, housing topologies, prescribed in the plan's detailed land use plan and development control regulation. On land tenure regularization, the department is now directed to 3 items. 1, in partnership with the National Land Commission, prioritize and expedite the regularization and issuance of title deeds for plot holders in Korowe Market Center, and all other areas within the planning areas affected and tenure insecurity, so as to give effect to the plan's proposal on land tenure and remove significant constraint on investment and development. That is a very key component of that directive. And 2, ensure that all land acquisition undertaken in the course of implementation, the plan is conducted in strict accordance with the Land Act 2012 Part 8, and the land ownership are adequately sensitized before acquisition commences, with compensation computed comprehensively, transparently, and in accordance with applicable law. And lastly, ensure that plans proposed framework for facilitating the issuance of a 99-year lease for market plot holders is expeditiously operationalized in collaboration with the National Land Commission. We are looking at now the flood risk and environmental management in this plan. In this aspect, the county executive is directed to 1, in collaboration with the National Irrigation Authority, the Water Resources Authority, and relevant national government agency, accelerate the implementation of flood risk management proposal in the plan, including demarcation of flood zones, restriction of settlement in such zones, rehabilitation of riparian reserves, preparation of resettlement action plan for affected person, and lobbying for completion of Koru Soin Dam. Two, prepare and gazette a stormwater management plan for Ahero Town within 1 year of adoption of this plan. And 3, implement the plan's environmental management proposal on riparian reserve, on riparian reserve rehabilitation, tree covering maintenance, and restriction of development in ecological sensitive areas. The report is also talking about agricultural and economic development. And let me bring you to speed on this matter. The county executive director on this is directed to 1, prioritize the implementation of the plan's economic improvement strategies for agricultural value addition, including active facilitation of the establishment of a rice processing mill in Ahero, promotion of branded Ahero rice as a regional agricultural product, and development of agro-processing infrastructure. 2, in collaboration with the National Irrigation Authority and the Water Resources Authority, extend irrigation infrastructure to horticultural farmers along River Nyando to increase yields and diversify production. And lastly, ensure adequate development of agricultural extension officers in the planning area and strengthen cooperatives and SACCOs infrastructure to improve farmer access to credit, technology, and markets. The report has also mentioned something to do with governance and oversight. where the county executive is directed to two things. One, operationalize the Ahero Awasi Municipality Board with adequate budgetary allocation and technical staffing to oversee, coordinate, and monitor the implementation of the plan throughout the 10-year planning period. And two, report annually to the county assembly on the implementation progress of the plan, including the status of all capital investment projects and sector improvement strategies to enable the assembly to exercise effective oversight over the plan's implementation. On the committee oversight, the Committee on Lands, Physical Planning, Housing and Urban Development shall maintain an active oversight over the implementation of this recommendation through biannual progress hearing with heads of the relevant county government departments and entities, provision and recommendations set out in this report. And furthermore, the committee shall, in course of its ongoing oversight mandate, monitor and report to the House on the implementation of the capital investment plan, the progress of land tenure regularization in Korowe Market Center and surrounding areas, the effectiveness of flood risk management interventions, and the development of agricultural and economic development proposals contained in this plan. Honorable Speaker and honorable members, the committee recommends the Department of Land, Physical Planning, Housing and Urban Development for the commitment, perseverance, and technical rigor demonstrated in the preparation of this plan over a planning period spanning several years. The plan represents a significant and a long-awaited spatial development instrument for Ahero Town, which is second largest urban centers in Kisumu County, and its adoption will unlock considerable economic, social, environmental, and governance benefit for the residents of the planning area. Pursuant to the standing orders of Kisumu County Assembly, it is therefore my honor and privilege, as have been presented in this report of the Committee of Lands, Physical Planning, Housing and Urban Development, on consideration of this proposed Ahero Town Local Physical and Land Use Development Plan, the House to adopt this report. And members, I hope the importance of this report is very evident, because many a times we've been talking about Kisumu City. Before I call the second honorable speaker, many a times we've been talking about Kisumu City getting a lot of development, both infrastructure and economic. This report is now opening other areas, and we're starting with Ahero Town, where we want to see developments going to the towns that were unveiled some times back. And this is a very good report. We have seen partners who are so much interested in funding our towns, but without a land use physical plan of this nature, the partners cannot continue or cannot engage the county government in terms of helping them funding the project developments we have or we want to develop these towns. The report, indeed, honorable members and honorable speaker, has come as a blessing to this Kisumu County as we are struggling to do development in our towns with limited resources. So I believe that, honorable members, this is a report that should have been adopted as early as yesterday. May I call Honorable James Were to second. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Yes, Honorable James Were. Honorable members, and now that the report on the consideration of the proposed Ahero Town local physical and land use development plan 2026 to 2035 by the Committee on Lands, Physical Planning, Housing and Urban Development has been presented and seconded. And as per standing orders, it's time for me to propose a question. And I propose that this report is now open for debate. Yes, Honorable Peter Henry Obaso.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I rise in support of this motion before the House. Madam Speaker, let me start by commending the committee chair, for this well-elaborated report. I was just looking at it, and the graphs, the maps, it's well documented here. And secondly, Madam Speaker, I want to say that this is a good report because every town or a city has to have a plan. And I've been to Ahero in few instances. And from everything, you can see that that town is a mess. We thought that coming up with the local government will cure this. But the drainage system in Ahero, the slum, everything there is a mess. So without a proper plan, Ahero was going to stagnate. And with this plan, I think we are heading towards a right trajectory. And I believe that within those 10 years that has been stated in this report, we will be able to see a different town that is well planned, that can attract investors and many people in that town. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I support.
Yes, Honorable Bill Oliver.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I am a happy man today because this is one of the things we really needed as people who come from Ahero region. I'm saying this because I'm a neighbor of Ahero. And if you look at this, it's kind of a special plan. If you look at it well, it is touching on my area in Kobura, that is Korowe Market. So it means, as members of Kobura, this plan is also for us. Madam Speaker, from the report, we clearly see that Ahero is the second largest market, that is after Kibuye in Kisumu County. And being that it is the second largest market, our expectation is that there are basic things that should be done. And I'm happy this report has addressed that. Covering an area of around 34 square kilometers, that is still my area, Korowe. There are areas that need to be addressed, and they are clearly in this report. The problems that have been identified, one is the flooding issue that affects us in Kobura area and Ahero area market. And the report seeks as one of the key issues the expansion of Ahero Bridge. And we all know, people from Kisumu County, what happens when there is traffic issues in Ahero. People can stay there even for 2 days sorting the jam issue. So I'm happy. Now Ahero is going to have that plan. From that report, Madam Speaker, there are major issues that are going to be addressed, like the infrastructure gaps that we have, the sewer issues in Ahero, and I want to believe that also from the report, being that Korowe market in Kobura is part of it, that is going to be addressed also. If you look at the market in Ahero, how it has been structured, how the plan was, you can clearly see there was no plan, and being that there's no plan, we can't have serious growth. So that report is addressing that issue, and I believe what they are talking about of the rapid urbanization that is there without zoning, at least now we are going to have the zones for this particular market. We're having the zones for the farming areas. And this, Madam Speaker, will help us greatly, because after zoning and having that serious plan, we can now have our own rice, Madam Speaker. When we were campaigning, we talked about, personally, in my ward, I talked about Kobura rice. And I'm happy, being that we are neighbors of Ahero. When we have Ahero rice, I know the next thing will be Kobura rice. And members, I believe we should support this, because this is the way to go. We can see other areas. We have Mwea, and it's funny, at times, people buy rice here and they go package it somewhere else and it comes with a different brand, yet it is from Kisumu County. So being that this is going to be addressed, Madam Speaker, because I'm seeing they are talking about the National Irrigation Authority will be part of this. So I'm happy for the first time, areas of Korowe going to Ahero, we are going to have a very serious plan. And I believe, having done this, the 10-year plan that they have, we are going to seriously see a lot of development in Ahero and in its environs, that is Korowe area. And that also will translate to serious employment, because having expanded the town, we'll have people that are getting employed in those areas. Madam Speaker, that report also addresses issues like environmental issues of the riparian rehabilitation and the floods that is affecting Ahero. It is also talking about helping push for the fast tracking of Koru Soin Dam. So, Madam Speaker, I want to ask the honorable members today, let us support this report so that being that the governor approved Ahero to be the town in 2020, now this is a serious thing that will make it a serious town for Kisumu County, and in turn make Kisumu the Europe that it should be. Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I support.
Yes, Honorable Pamela Oyo of Bigosi Ward.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I also start to support the report. Town planning is a process of designing and managing a town through physical layout, including land use, infrastructure, transaction, and environmental management. It is important to plan Ahero Market. All of you have passed through Ahero Market, and you've seen how it looks. It requires land use and zoning, dividing land into zones, coming up with buildings which are planned, markets which are planned, and also for social and economic use. It is easier to be in a place that has been planned. So I just want to say it is important. We need to support it because it will improve the development of the area. The land use, especially that is done in Ahero, the rice growing. I think if planning is approved, it will also help them to market their produce. I stand to support this report because it is important for Ahero market. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Yes, Honorable Jennifer Obonyo.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Going by the mood of the House, may I call them over to reply?
Honorable Member, you're out of order because I can see Honorable Benny Peto also on his feet. Honorable Benny Pete, I'll give you the opportunity.
Madam Speaker, you know, Ahero is our capital city in Nyan. And when this matter of Ahero comes up, it is important that we stand to support the good development that is set by the government of Professor Nyong'o to extend to the small towns of Kisumu County. Madam Speaker, what I'm seeing here is that the government of Professor Nyong'o had set development for the small towns which are in Kisumu town, because in Kisumu County, because they were elevated to urban centers. And now what comes is that rules should be made for them so that they are able to get donor funding for their development. I think that is a very good move to develop Kisumu County. When I look at this report, Madam Speaker, we are being told that the Department of Lands, Physical Planning and Urban Development is mandated to prepare, review, and implement physical and land use development plans within Kisumu County in accordance with the Physical and Land Use Planning Act of 2019 and other relevant planning regulations. And Madam Speaker, this is a move that the government of Nyong'o started in its first year in office. And these are plans that don't just work overnight. They take time because they need a lot of regulations, a lot of plannings, and that is where we are now. That Ahero today is earmarked to be given regulations that will make it become a properly planned town in Kisumu County. Why are these there? We are being told there has been uncoordinated urban expansion, and those are what the challenges that have been there. And with this being passed today, Madam Speaker, Ahero town will develop and funding will be got for Ahero so that a lot is done for the people of Ahero town and the environment. We are seeing here, Madam Speaker, matters of agriculture and economic development is being looked into here. There's also the oversight. And matters of environment, the flood problem in Kano is also addressed here. And Madam Speaker, we know that Ahero is flooded every year during the heavy rains. And here we are seeing that the Korusain Dam should be done so that problems of flooding is controlled in Ahero and its environment. Korowe Market will become a beneficiary on the development of Ahero, which is a credit. When Korowe Market will benefit from the development of Ahero. But let us note this. Korowe Market is not yet planned. Ahero is also not yet planned. So the normal title deed that they have, no, the markets, they just have the parcel numbers. They don't have the title deeds. They will have the lease title. That will be a credit to our people. Lease title for 99 years, which will be a credit to our people. But we need to look at this lease title. Lease title had been misused in some instances. A clause should be found where the family that benefited from the lease should not just be deprived of their land because new interested people have come to acquire the land. That is an area that we need to look into. We have seen instances where people who own land through lease title have cried in this county that the lease expired, and without their knowledge, new lease owners have come in. Honorable Billy, that is a challenge that should not just be taken for granted. And I think in this county, an act had been passed converting the normal titles to lease titles. The assembly also needs to go back and check on that, the areas that will be affected. But in overall, Madam Speaker, it will be important for Ahero and Awasi to be given these powers so that they get good funding from the donor funds to develop the two towns. They will create good openings for our people in terms of employment, development, and that is how the towns should prosper. Madam Speaker, I support.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I also rise to support the physical planning and land use for Ahero town. It's long overdue because we had 5 municipalities, and I think Ahero being one of them, Ahero Wasi. And this is a big gain for the people of Ahero, because such fiscal planning would come in with very many goodies in terms of urbanization that is going on in the entire county. And it's a very big step. In fact, Madam Speaker, matters flooding has been captured so well in this. And of recent, you saw what happened in Ahero at the bridge and the market when River Nyando busted its banks. So such kind of planning is really necessary for future. And I think this captures the aspirations of the people of Ahero and beyond, because Ahero is just not Ahero town, but it spans beyond the boundaries of the town. And it will come in handy to attract even donor funding for future expansion and urbanization. Madam Speaker, if we can do all this to Maseno, Paponditi, Katito, Sondu, Moroni, and Kombewa, our urban centers will sprang. And I think this being one of the first one to be done I hope in future we will do for others, and then this county will be in a progressive mode. And what has happened in this city, what Professor Nyong'o, the governor of Kisumu, has done in this city, will be felt beyond the city boundaries. And I support this with a heavy heart that this is the only way to go for the future of this country and this county. And I beg my colleagues that we support such kind of initiative, which is a very noble one. And I want to thank the chair planning for coming up with this at this time. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I support.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I rise to support the adoption of the report from the Committee on Land, Physical Planning, Housing and Urban Development on their consideration of the proposed Ahero Town local, physical and land use development. Madam Speaker, we appreciate that as a county, we had made municipalities around certain towns. One of them was Ahero, another one was Katito, Kombewa, Maseno, and Muoroni. Madam Speaker, going by those declarations, we should not declare these places municipalities, and at the rate in which Ahero is growing as a town, we have to demarcate what to do where. Ahero, if I remember my history well, when they were teaching us about industrialization, urbanization, and how agriculture contributes to that, I see Ahero as one place that is ripe right now for both industrialization and urbanization. And Madam Speaker, for people to enjoy the two things I've mentioned, and that is industrialization and urbanization, we must have a physical land use plan. Madam Speaker, this is what will tell us which places to plant rice, which places to have schools, which places to have markets, where to put bus parks, where to put our sewers, where to put all that we want to do around Ahero. Once we've done that, then whatever amount of money we get from whatever source, be it from the county revenue fund, be it from donors, we can easily channel it to different places. For a long time, I've been having conversation with my brother, Benny Pete Oiko, on how we can prevent the suffering that people undergo during flooding. And we were saying that, we need to secure places where we can do affordable housing around Ahero, Rabuor, and such like things. But without this physical land use plan, we won't know where to do what. And that's why it's important that this report be adopted so that Ahero has a physical land use plan telling us, including places where we can do affordable housing, so that we can move people who have for so long suffered the floods and that affects areas around Ahero. Madam Speaker, I have gone to Ahero, and when it floods, the sewers mixed with the floods and then run through homes. And for us who appreciate health, we know that is a prerequisite for outbreak of diseases. This land use plan will tell us where to put drainages for water and where to put drainages for our sewers, so that we can have a properly planned Ahero town. Madam Speaker, you have seen so many people hawking rice along the road, which has proved very dangerous. You have seen even our border borders sometimes are forced to park along the highways because we do not have designated places where they can collect and drop customers. We have seen vehicles plying that route, just standing on the highway, dropping passengers, and sometimes lives are lost out of that. We believe this is what will cure all those problems I am mentioning. Madam Speaker, for some of us who love traditional food and have visited Ahero, there's a very simple hotel called Kadani, making very nutritious local foods. But as you are going there, you see so many structures, mabati structures just built haphazardly along the road. This is what will cure that, so that we know where should we put our shops, where should we put our hotels, where should we put our hardwares in Ahero. Madam Speaker, people have talked about rice in Ahero, and we are planning to do value addition. We cannot do value addition if we don't attract donors to that particular area. And donors can only come when they see a planned town, which tells donors, this is where we can do the different processing for the rice that we are producing. Madam Speaker, this document is what is going to address what we are talking about. And Madam Speaker, for the first time, if you see senior member Benny Pete Oeko support a motion in this house, then you know that motion is very, very important. Most of the time when Oeko submits, he will just finish with, that is my submission, or Madam Speaker, I submit. But for so long today, I've heard him say that he supports that we adopt this report so that we can turn Ahero into an urban center that is planned, that the communities around can enjoy, that people can know where to build schools, where to build roads, where to put sewers, and where to do development that match the development that Ahero is having as a town. Otherwise, thank you so much, Madam Speaker. I support the adoption of this report.
Honorable member, Honorable James Were, are you on your feet? Yes, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I'm also adding my voice in support of this noble report, the motion on Ahero land use plan. Madam Speaker, supporting this plan is not just a simply technical decision. But Madam Speaker, this is a strategic move in ensuring that we shape the economic growth of Ahero. Madam Speaker, this will also ensure that there is environmental protection. We know what normally happens in Ahero, Madam Speaker. We've had challenges in perennial flooding. We know Ahero is a strategic place where farming takes place. We know Ahero, there are quite economic activities that takes place. Madam Speaker, if a land use plan is put in place, then everything will be in order. Madam Speaker, we want our irrigation schemes to be protected. We want our people who are residing along the riverbanks to be protected. With such like a plan, those areas will be restricted and people will be stopped from even settling around those places where they can be flooded and where their property and lives can be lost. Madam Speaker, it is quite in order for us to support this noble plan. And I believe Kisumu will be moving forward. And putting this plan in place will not only benefit Ahero, it will benefit Nyando as a whole. And by extension, Kisumu County as a whole. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Honorable members, the mover had been called to reply, so I'll give the mover the opportunity to reply.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, indeed, just as was mentioned by Honorable Sethukumu, that for the first time, we've had Honorable Oiko Pete from Kabonyo Kanyagwal in his submission, the end of his submission, saying that I support the report. That indeed tells you that this report sits well with all members, including Honorable Oiko Pete. Madam Speaker, a lot has been mentioned about this report. The infrastructure development, the economic development, the social development has been mentioned in this report. We have mentioned everything, and that is why members of this assembly, none of them has opposed this report. Remember, Madam Speaker, just as I mentioned earlier, that a lot of development had been centered within Kisumu town, leaving some other areas like Ahero, which of course today is in discussion, left to struggle only with the CRF account or CRF funding. But having approved this report, the local physical and land use development plan, this is a gateway for donor funding, which the Kisumu city has been enjoying. This is a blessing. And I want to thank you, honorable members. This is a blessing. And time frames have also been given here, where the committee will check the department in terms of implementation of this plan from time to time. The report, indeed, as mentioned, has covered a lot of areas, be it agriculture, the flood mitigation. We know Ahero and its environs have been suffering from flooding. If Koru Soin Dam, which is also captured in this program, in this report, is constructed, that perennial flooding will be a thing of the past. I don't want to take members again through the aspects of development in this report, but I want to say that the assembly will be mandated to see that the department has implemented this report. Thank you, honorable members, and thank you, honorable speaker. And I reply.
Honorable members, and now that the report on the consideration of the proposed Ahero Town Local Physical and Land Use Development Plan 2026 to 2035 by the Committee on Lands, Physical Planning, Housing and Urban Development has been presented, seconded and debated, and it's time for me to put a question. And I put that as many of the opinion that this report be adopted say aye. And as many of the contrary opinions say nay. And therefore, the ayes have it. And therefore, the report on the consideration of the proposed Ahero Town Local Physical and Land Use Development Plan 2026 to 2035 by the Committee on Lands, Physical Planning, Housing and Urban Development has been adopted today, 30th of April 2026 at 15:30 hours. And I therefore direct that this report, together with the Hansard report, We submitted the relevant department for implementation. Next order, clerk.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and honorable members. There's no any other business to be transacted in the order paper.
Honorable members, you can be upstanding, and there being no any other business, this house stands adjourned until Tuesday, the 5th of May, 2026 at 2:30 p.m.